Hello everyone, welcome to Mean Life Studies. In this video, we are going to solve one more SQL problem as part of data analyst or data engineer interview preparation. You can see here that is question number 28. Given population and area details of different cities, find the number of cities that come under, equal and above the average population density of all cities. Okay, and it is given population and area details, right? Now we need to find the number of cities that come under, equal and above the average population density of all cities. All right, now we need to find the average population density of all cities, and we need to count the number of cities are less than this value or equal to this value and then greater than of this value, right? We need to find the number of cities for each, right? Now also given note, you can see here, if area details are not given, ignore those cities for finding the average population density and assign population density for those cities as the average population density of density value. Okay, now if in case area details are not given for some cities, we are not going to consider those cities in the process of finding the average population density, and then whatever the value that we will get as average population density, we will assign for those null values. I mean those cities as given null values, right? We are going to assign this average population density as for those values. Okay, now you can see here, this is the table schema as given, and the table name is cities population information, having different columns that you can see here. City id as integer as primary key, city name varchar, and population and area are integer types. Okay, now we will solve this problem, okay, in SSMS. Now you can see here, this is the table creation statement. I have already created and inserted. This is the data I already inserted. Okay, now if I execute this query, and I have mentioned these queries in the description box, you can find from there. If I execute this query, you can see here, this is the data as given, having city id, city name, population and area, right? And you can see here we have some cities like Bhopal and Patna and then Ghaziabad has no area details, like null as given, right? It is not a zero, right? Null means not a value, not given any value. Okay, we should not consider this as zero, right? Now we need to find the average population density, right? In order to find the average population density of all cities, first we need to find the population density, right? What is the population density? Population density is a population divided by area, right? Now in the process of finding the population density, we need to divide population by area, right? And then in the process you will get here this value divided by null values, we will get null values because of we don't know this value, right? So that we will get null values as population density for this value, right? And then we need to find the average population density of all cities, and in the process of finding the average population density, we need not to consider these cities having null values, right? We are not going to consider these values, and then we will find the average population density of all remaining cities. And then we need to assign those average population density as these values. Whatever the value that we will get as average population density, we are going to assign back to these values, right? And then we need to find the number of cities are come under or equal or above the average population density, right? Now if you observe here, if whatever the null values are come, we are going to assign this as average population density. So we are getting a one value, that is population density level, that is average. How many are there? Three are average. Because of these are null values, so we are going to assign average population density is this value, right? For these values. Okay, now we'll start solving one by one. First we need to find population density, right? Step one, we need to find population density, right? Now we are going to return all data, and then we need to find population density. How we can find? We need to divide population by area, right? So we will get population density, cities underscore, this is the table. Okay, now if I execute this query, you can see here, this is the population and this is the area, and this is population density, population divided by area is called as population density, right? Now, if you observe here, if not null divided by null, it will return null values only because of we don't know what's the value. So it will return null values only. Okay. Now, next step, what we have to find out this column, I'm going to assign as population density. Okay. Now you can see here, right? Population density. In the next step, what we have to find out in the second step, we need to find the average of population density for all cities, right? Whenever we are doing the average value, we should not consider these values. That's what is given in the note, right? You can see here, if area details are not given, ignore those cities for finding the average population density of, right? Okay. Now we are not going to consider this null values, right? Anyway, in SQL, if you are finding the average value of any column, by default, if there is any null values, it will ignore. If you use, if you are going to find the average value, right? Now you can see here, I'm going to return in the second step. What we are going to find? We need to find average value of average population density of all cities. Okay, I'm going to return all data and then I'm going to return the average value, right? Now first to see what is the average value, average of population density from this table, right? Not this table, and we are already extracted, right? This is the table. Okay, so we are going to use here subqueries because of some audience are asking not to use CTEs, so I'm going to use here subqueries. Okay, this is the table, right? First step, we are finding information of population density. Now we are finding average population density of all cities, right? By default, it will ignores where we are doing mistake. Whenever you are assigning or we are using the subqueries, you need to use we need to alias it as some name, right, for inner query. Now you can see here, this is the average value, right? Now we need to compare this average value, I mean population density, average population density, right? This is average population density. Now we are going to have this value to all columns. How we can do? By using window function. I mean this average function I'm going to use as window function. Okay. Now for that I'm using overclass, right? I'm adding overclass so that we'll get all these values to all records, right? All records, 20 records. So I'm going to extract all data and then average it, average value. Now you can see here, this is the population density of each cities and this is the average population density of all cities, right? Now we need to count number of cities that come under this value, I mean the average population density with this value, right? Now we need to compare these two values and we need to check how many are less than of this average value, how many are equal to this value, and how many are greater than of this value of cities. Okay, the next step, what we need to find? Step 3, we need to find we are now we need to assign first we need to assign in the sense we are going to compare, then we need to compare, and before that we need to assign this column as average population density. Okay, now you can see it, right? Now we need to compare average population density with population density of each city, right? If this value is greater than this value, then we are going to assign that as above average population density level or above average population density, and then if it is equal, then average population, and if it is less than, below average population. Okay, now we are going to assign And before that, I'm going to return all details from this table, right? This is the table. That is what we have done in second step. Whatever we are going to find, this is the table. Okay. Now from this table, what we are going to assign, we are going to comparing these two values and returning one more column as average population density level, right? Now here, I'm going to return all details from this table, and then I'm going to use conditional statement because of we need to return the population density levels, and then we are going to count number of cities. Okay. Case when what we have to compare this value and this value, right? If this value, I mean population density is greater than average population density, then we are going to assign that as above average population density, right? And this particular city is average above average population density. Okay. Now case when population density is greater than average population density, then what we have to return, we have to return above average population density. All right. Next, when population density is less than average population density, then what we have to return, we have to return below average population density, right? Else what we have to return, it is average, right? Average population density only, right? We need to end this as population levels, population density levels. Okay. Which table? That is from this table only, right? That's what we have find in second step, right? From this table, entire table, and we need to assign this as this subquery, entire subquery as another name, that is B. Okay. Now if you execute this query, you can see here we assign average. See, we are comparing these two, and then we are assigning a level. What is the level? This city is higher than this one, right? This is this population density 33,000. This is average, that is 11,000. So we are returning this as above average population density, right? And that's what we are finding, right? Number of cities that come under, equal, or above the average population densities, right? I mean, these cities are having the population density, and we need to compare with the average population density, and we need to find the number of cities that are greater than, less than, or equal to this average population densities, right? I hope you're understanding. Now you can see here we are finding this value. See, whenever we have null values, we need to assign this values, right? So that is why you can see here whenever null values we are finding, we are getting this average population density only. Okay, this value also average population, this value also average population density, right? Now if you see, this is the 5,000, this is 11,000, so that is why here getting below average population density, right? Now you can see here also it is below average population density, right? Now we need to count number of cities, right, that come under this average population density or above average population density and equal to average population density, right? Now in the next step, that is fourth step, step number 4, what we have to find, we need to count. This is what we are going to find it, right? At the end, count number of cities come under are equal and above the average population density, right? Now how can we find it? We need to count the number of rows on the basis of this population density level, and we need to group by each, right? So that we will get the number of cities that come under, equal, or above the average population density, right? Now from this table only, right, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it here, and from this table we need to count, select what we have to count, we have to count the number of cities, city name, comma, and then we have to return the population density levels, right? population density levels from this table. Okay, I'm going to assign this as C. I mean, I need to alias it, right? And then I need to group by population density levels. Okay, now if I execute this query, you can see here, we will return in different way. I mean, reverse order. Okay, first we need to return the population density levels, and then we need to count it. Okay, if I execute this query, you can see here we are getting population density levels, and these are the number of cities, right? I'm going to assign this as number of cities. Okay, if I execute this query, you can see here the number of cities that average population is that are equal to this is, I mean, average population density is 3 cities, and then above 7 cities, below 10 cities, total of 20 cities, right? Now we found number of cities that come under, equal, or above the average population density of all cities, right? These are the 7 cities that are above the average population density, and these are the 3 cities. Those are not given any area details, or we will treat those as average population density only, right? So that is why here getting 3, and then here 10. These are the 10 cities that are lower than the average population density of all cities. Okay, I hope you understand this one. Okay, don't forget to like and share. Thank you.